The Palisadoes Foundation was created maybe about 6 or 7 years ago with the aim of promoting IT software development on the island. And so we were started by a group of Jamaican expats living in California, myself and two other gentlemen. And we decided to approach the various different clubs at the university level to try and find out exactly what they wanted in terms of creating a long-term community of software developers, specifically in open source. And we asked a number of questions about what they wanted. We investigated different types of opportunities, and these included things like hackathons, contests, etc. But the leadership at the time for these clubs said, what we really want is to get more experience in open source software. And so the leadership decided to approach a number of open source projects like Apache and WordPress, etc., to try and see whether we could be doing anything in which we could start contributing to their open source projects. And we tried, and we didn't get very far. And so we decided that we would create our own open source projects. And so students from UWI, UTech, and a number of other institutions decided that they would create their own projects. And over the years, we have been working on these various projects to try and see how we can create the community. So we had this project, or we had the program, and it was called the Calico Challenge, which we stopped because of the pandemic, but it was open to Jamaican students living in Jamaica who would then make applications to, this is like paper applications, to apply to the Calico Challenge. The amount of money that was provided for the internship over the summer was about $1,500. And the students worked on the various open projects that we had. So in the beginning, we had projects such as a taxi app, we had charting applications, etc. But over time, we have finalized on the Taloa suite of applications. And Taloa is an application that is focused on managing non-profit type organizations and community-based organizations. So they would be like clubs, churches, temples, various types of related types of activities. And so it has three different components. The first component is the mobile app, which is written in Flutter, and it communicates with a backend which runs on MongoDB. And the MongoDB is accessed using TypeScript as the API and GraphQL. There is also a management interface, which is the Taloa admin interface, in which the administrators can work with the mobile app to help manage the user base. And so what happens with Taloa, it's very much like an integration of many projects or social media apps that you can think of. So there's a news feed, very similar to like what you'd see on Instagram or LinkedIn. There are ways in which you can create a calendar in which you can invite people to various types of events. So for example, in the let's just talk about a religious institution, there may be monthly meetings of various types of self-help groups. And so you could create a meeting for that. You could add different meeting rooms to be added, and then you could invite various people to the meetings on an ongoing basis. But one of the things that's really interesting about it is that people in those meetings can be assigned roles and responsibilities. So, for example, if it's a wedding, you can assign somebody to be in charge of food. You can assign other people to be in charge of various other types of things, transportation, flowers, etc. And this allows you to transform the mobile app into a type of very lightweight project management tools. One of the other things that we're trying to do with it is that many times these organizations have difficulties in finding ways of getting funding for their activities. So we also have a way in which they can add an advertising entries or content into the feeds, into various parts of the application, so that local businesses can have a very, very focused type of engagement with people within the community. And so this combination of things really makes the mobile app that you're trying to create very, very powerful. And so we are now working very closely with a number of open source organizations to get things really on the road. And I would say it's much more than just getting started. We are really very far along the path of trying to see how we can get the very first alpha product out so that people can start using it. So the initial software was created by Jamaican students. And for the first 2 or 3 years, it was all created by students from UWI and UTech. 2 years ago, we decided that we would apply to the Google Summer of Code. And we were accepted into the Google Summer of Code. And since then, the people who have been contributing to the software development of it have been international. So we have a large number of people from India who have been contributing to it. We have some people from, I think we have somebody from Egypt. We have people from Kenya as well working with it. And all of this is based on the foundation that was created by Jamaican students. Now, the foundation work that was done under the Calico challenge. And so if you go to the Palisadoes Foundation website, you will click on internships and you click on Calico, and you'll see information related to it. And so we have frequently asked questions, etc. The information that you find here has not been updated yet for 2023. I'm working on trying to find some finalizations on it, but be assured it's going to be coming. The application process will be defined on the Calico website that you see here. And for the most part, what we're looking for are people who have experience in software development. They are really willing to work on the open source projects. They also should have an interest to the degree that they would be working on various issues that we have in GitHub and trying to see how they can merge their work into the main repositories that we have and the various main branches that we have on the repositories. So we have our very own Talawa repos under the Palisadoes Foundation. And so if you want to take a look, you can go to github.com/Palisadoes Foundation, and you will see the various repositories that we have. And you can see that we have Talawa API, the admin, and we have Talawa documentation as well. And so the way Talawa documentation works is that we have automated a way in which we can extract document strings and documentation from the codes, the doc strings from various classes, methods, and functions, and create online documentation that is really worthy of people who want to contribute to the code. And let me go to one of the repositories right now, just so that you can take a look and see what I'm talking about. Now, I'm going to focus on Talawa. There's Talawa admin and Talawa API. They are TypeScript. And then there's Talawa, which, like I said, is Dart and Flutter. So let's just click on this. So you'll see when you click on the Talawa website or the Talawa repository, you'll see information such as the link to join the Slack community that we have. So there's an informal community that we've created, and so you can ask questions on it about what is Talawa. I'm having some difficulties with the installation, etc. And you can also take a look at, if you click on the issues link that you see here, I'm going to click on that, you will see that we've created a large number of issues that are really suitable for first-time users or first-time contributors. Many of them, for example, are related to testing. And so we have done many tests already, and so there's a lot of previous information that you can look at to try and model the way that you're going to be doing your tests. And it is relatively straightforward. We have got a lot of people that have been working on it. If you see an issue like this model for testing here and you don't see anybody assigned to it, just click on it, and then at the very bottom, just say, hello, I would like to be assigned to this issue to test it. And so this is one way in which you can get involved, either for Calico or the Google Summer of Code. Okay, so if you also click here, you'll see the pull requests that are asking, where people are asking to merge their changes into the code branch, and it's and we try to work very well with all of this to make sure that things run smoothly. Now, if you click on once again, let's say we go back to the Taloa homepage, there's a link over here which says docs.taloa.io, and this is where the documentation is. So if you click on the docs.taloa.io link, you'll see the documentation here. And you will see, if you click on this link for Taloa, for example, here are all the methods, functions, and classes that we've been extracting the information from the doc strings about. So if you want to know more about the app localizations, you can click on this, click on the various properties, you can see the methods and the various ways in which we're trying to do stuff. So it really looks very official, and it's really a testament to the open source community and Jamaicans, because not only are the Jamaicans the people who started the coding for this, but I would say maybe 50% of the mentors that we have for Calico and the Google Summer of Code are based in Jamaica. They work for companies like Rail Decoy, they work for companies, can't remember all, like Vertis Technologies and a number of others. And so they have been working on this. There are people that are in your own time zone that you can talk to, and they will be very helpful to you in trying to get yourself located in the repository. So you don't have to feel like, boy, I don't know whether this is something that I can really work on. Just give it a try, all right? So let's go back to docs.taloa.io. If you click on About, you will see even more information about what Taloa API, and the various things are. But I want you to go down to the very bottom here, which is the internships. And we talk about, we have an overview of the various internships, and you can see what we're looking for in terms of an application. You can click on view the various types of titles that you should be having in your application and what we're looking for in terms of the content. We outline what we're looking for in terms of selection criteria, so you'll know exactly what to do in order to position yourself very, very well. So here you can take a look at this. But probably most importantly, we have a list of ideas. So when you click on this, and you scroll down, you will see information about the ideas that we have for 2023. We have impact definitions, which talks about whether we think the various ideas are risky, or whether it's fun, or whether it's core development, whatever it may be. We talk about whether the ideas we think is going to be difficult, hard, medium, etc. And then we have listings of all the various primary idea areas. So you can see here that we have one for creating new features and creating plugins. We describe what we want. We have a guide to our plugin architecture, and we can see that we want to add newsfeed advertising. We want to do some spam mitigation. and some other things. We're talking about ways in which we can make the TypeScript API backend perform better. And so we have that as well. And if you scroll down, you can see things like simplifying the code base. We're doing there. We have some people right now looking at ways in which we can start working on dry concepts for the code base, and they're doing a lot of refactoring related to that. I can see that in the various pull requests that we have, and here are some more things related to the mobile app. And so there are. If you're looking for ideas and you want to think of something new, you can do that, and we really welcome it. And you also have ideas that we have here that you could think about and really add meat to the bones of what we do. Typically, the applications that we get have diagrams. They will have fairly detailed ideas as to what they want to achieve and why. And so we really try to take into consideration the quality of the application, whether it's something that is really worthwhile, and then also the number of applications that we are having. So I think that outlines some aspects of the process for both Calico, which I said is going to be updated very soon, and the Google Summer of Code. We have applied to be an organization for Google Summer of Code 2023. And based on our past successes, I think we have a very good chance of being accepted in this year. I want to also show you some other things. So if you look, and once again, we're going back to the Taloa repository. If you scroll downwards, you will, and this you can see the Slack. I'm going to show you our Slack channel very shortly. But you can see that we have this link to code coverage. And if you click on that link, you will go to a screen like this, in which you can see how much our code has been covered by various types of tests. And this helps us to make sure that our code is very reliable. You can see that over the last 2 years, we have gone from somewhere in the region of like 30 or 40% coverage, and now we have 90% coverage. And the tests, like I said, are a really good way to ease yourself into understanding what we're trying to achieve and getting some background about what the core functionalities are. If you click on a link like for Taloa API, you will see the various files. You can see that over the last, let's see, I'm trying to see the time frame. Okay, so you can see over the last 12 months how much we have improved. You can see down here we were at, well, maybe in the 20 or 30% range, and we've been gradually expanding over time. And so the code has been becoming more and more reliable. The amount of times that people say, man, I can't get anything to work, has gone down significantly, right? And so it's because of this attitude that has really made what we've done better and better. And once again, I want to emphasize, Jamaicans are there to assist. The Jamaicans are there. And who are the Jamaicans that you should be looking for? Well, I'm glad you asked that. For the various ideas, you will see possible mentors, and you will see their GitHub IDs that you can work with. And so you can try to get in contact with them through GitHub, or you can also try to see how you can get in contact with them through our Slack channel. So let me just bring up our Slack channel right now. And so you can see for Slack, we have a general introduction channel. We have a Taloa channel, a Taloa API channel in which people are asking questions. You can see it's active. And then I also want to show you some of these other channels like Taloa admin-GitHub. And so if you're wise, you would subscribe to some of these channels and see when new issues are created. And then you can say, hey, I want to be a part of this issue, right? And so you can be proactive because people are monitoring this all the time. So that's another way in which you can become more visible for what we're trying to achieve. Okay? So I think that really covers what I wanted to discuss. Google Summer of Code, I think it opens in about 2 or 3 weeks' time. Calico will be probably opening very shortly thereafter. The timeframes for Calico and Google Summer of Code would be very similar. Google Summer of Code will probably pay a little bit more, but you can take a look online to see what the Google Summer of Code payments are and compare that with Calico. If I were you, I would try to apply to both just in case, you never know. And really challenge yourself to do something like this, right? When we started, we never thought that we would have something that looks as official as this. And we have been just determined to slowly but surely get to a stage where we look like a very, very large project. And in fact, we are fairly small, but because of the presence that we have on the web and the visible improvements in our activities and code coverage, etc., people are convinced that we're on the right path. So I think that's really all I wanted to say for now. And I'd really be interested in hearing some questions from you. So I'm going to stop presenting. All right. Any questions?
I have one. So when is the Calico time frame for the exam?
Yeah, like I said, the Calico Challenge timeframe will probably be very similar to the Google Summer of Code. If you go and take a look at the Google Summer of Code timeline, Calico will probably mimic that very, very closely. And so the page will be updated shortly about what will be happening there. Okay?
I have a question.
Yes, go ahead.
So you said that you need software development experience as a student to work on the projects, right?
Yes, for the most part.
But
So
I was asking, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so we also will be applying to the Google Season of Docs. And so that is primarily for people who are interested in doing like technical writing for some of the various repos that we have. And the reason why we have that is because the code stuff that I showed you, in which you can click through and see the various documentations, that was done by people as a part of the Google Season of Docs. So if you're interested in Google Season of Docs, we are applying. The timeline is very different from the Google Summer of Code. I think Google Summer of Code starts in February. Google Season of Docs starts in March or April, but I assure you, please go and take a look and see the time frames. So like I said, it's not entirely software development, but please go ahead and ask your question.
Yeah, I was asking for software development, how much experience is enough?
If you feel that you are reasonably proficient in like Node, for example, TypeScript is not a big leap forward to get there. I would suggest that you take a look at the tests to get an idea as to what's going on, and I think that would be very useful. I think if you have about a year or two's worth of experience, it'll be fine. We generally want you have to take into consideration that many of the people that we have as mentors, they have full-time jobs, and so they really will be wanting to work with people who have a little bit of experience so that they can work more or less on their own. However, there are many links on how to get things done. I mean, Stack Overflow is always your friend. Stack Overflow is my friend. And so whenever I hit a situation with that I don't understand, I start looking there. Now, for myself, I am not a TypeScript or Flutter coder, but when people come and ask me questions in terms of direction for the architecture, I go to resources like that to verify what they're saying, and we make decisions that way, right? So there are ways in which people from all different types of backgrounds can work, but we're really looking for people who feel, they don't feel like this is something totally new. If you have any experience with these software frameworks, Flutter, Dart, Node, Mongo, and TypeScript, give it a try. I really encourage you. They are software frameworks that are in demand right now. We chose these frameworks specifically because of those characteristics, and therefore, I think it'll be a good experience. I hope I've answered your question. Please let me know. Okay, great. Yeah. And like I said, there are lots of Jamaicans that you can contact. Go to the Slack channel, look up the names that have been referenced in some of those channels, and try to reach out to them directly through various ways. So if you know their names, go to Slack or go to GitHub, or even try to find them in LinkedIn. So there are many of the volunteers have stated that they are a member of the Palisadoes Foundation. And so if you're looking for people, just go and find people who work with the Palisadoes Foundation. They don't really work with us, they're just volunteers. We are a 100% volunteer organization. Nobody gets paid. All the stuff that we're doing is done by people in their free time.
Okay.
Any other questions?
No, it seems as if nobody have any questions for now.
Okay. So I want to ask just a question from my perspective. Is this something that you'd be interested in applying to?
Speaking on behalf of the club?
Yeah.
And of, competing in general?
Yeah. Okay.
I am interested, for sure. Sounds very interesting.
Okay.
That I could learn a lot from it.
Yeah, it really is a good opportunity. But you have an advantage right now. Anybody who wants to apply for the Google Summer of Code or the Calico Challenge needs to be aware of the fact that the moment the Palisadoes Foundation gets awarded, there's going to be a flood of people creating issues, wanting to do pull requests, etc. Now is the time to be recognized. Now is the time to start working on the tests. Even if you're not 100% sure, go to the repositories and say, hey, I would like to work on this thing, and take a look at some of the examples and give it a try. Get to understand the code base now before the flood starts, because there will be a huge rush of people, and you want to make sure that you stand out. And I just want to let everybody know that I'm recording what we are discussing, and this is going to be put on YouTube as well for everybody, not just the Jamaican contingent to understand, because this is really a good talk about what the Palisadoes Foundation is and what the requirements are for the Google Summer of Code. One of the things that I would suggest to you, and I think this will give you an advantage to some extent, is if you have a GitHub account, upload a profile image. If you have a profile image, you will stand out a little bit more. People will recognize you. If you just have the default GitHub profile image, people are just going to say, well, I don't remember this person uniquely. Right? It's not just the person's GitHub ID, but the image of the profile also helps as well. So find something interesting, find something that you think will stand out, find something that is a part of your personality, and use that as one other means of being outstanding in what you're trying to achieve. All right? Any other questions?
seems like that's it for the club.
All right. Well, thanks a lot, everybody. I'm really glad that I had a chance to talk with you. This has been an ongoing piece of work that we've been doing, and we are at a turning point. The code base is stable. The documentation looks relatively good. We're trying to see how we can make the installation better and better and better. And of course, we have an active community. The community in general is very accepting. We have almost nobody with an attitude. So there are many open source projects in which you feel intimidated by asking questions that you think may be foolish. Not with this repository. I make sure that we have an open and welcoming community, and that everybody gets a chance to understand what we're talking about. I try to be as fair as possible in terms of the administration of the various repositories, and I think that has been to our benefit. Okay? Thanks a lot, everybody, and it has been really, really great to talk to you. And I wish you all the best, not just for Google Summer of Code and the Calico Challenge, but also in your careers.
Yeah, man, I want to say thanks, for coming, and also thanks for, making the time. Because, as you said, this is something that we all will find, supportive in our careers, because it will be, of course, a foundation itself, right?
Mm-hmm.
Working on projects and can use that to go to the next step, because it can also put on a portfolio. And when the Palisadoes Foundation reaches a level where it's well known, and you worked on a project before, right? It's like when you work at Google, you get a job, right?
Right. I will give you one more piece of advice, specifically for the Calico Challenge. If you go to the palisadoes.org website and you click on internships, there should be a link to Calico alumni, everybody who has been a part of the Calico Challenge. And you can ask them directly through LinkedIn what their opinions are of A, the Calico Challenge, and B, what we're trying to do with the Google Summer of Code. So that way you can get some insights, right? I think that would be very helpful. And another thing that I would also suggest as a part of this is to ask them about how Google Summer of Code and or the Calico Challenge has transformed their careers. I regularly get people getting in contact with me from Jamaica to ask me if I know any good people from the Calico Challenge. And I point them to that page, and that's what they use as a recruiting tool. So that's another thing that I think you can do also to give yourself a competitive advantage in the Calico Challenge and beyond. All right? Well, once again, thanks a lot. I'm sure that I've gone over time, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Thank you.